Alright, so we're officially back with another video that you probably was not expecting, but this is a video I just literally came up with like just a few seconds ago. So, as you can see from the title of our video, we have an OG Xbox One that you are seeing that is right here in its original box, and we have had this console for almost going on 9 years, I suppose. So this bad boy is going to be 9 years old this June 28th of the 2024. So we officially got this console from Walmart on June 28th, 2015, and we just basically, for the $500+ that we got for basically graduation, that was just my parents just was like, well, if you want an Xbox One, you better get it at the time. And man, was it actually worth it. Every single penny that I did get from graduation, and I was very, very thankful. So, but this is the bundle that comes with, as you're seeing right down here, Halo the Master Chief Collection. I was very, very impressed when Halo the Master Chief Collection was, when we first got this and we first played Halo 1 especially, and then we also played Halo 2. We actually did beat all 4 of these games after we got the Xbox One in about a few months or so. And the experience was like, it was the greatest, but now you can play the Halo the Master Chief Collection on a Series X and a Series S, and you can get a much more steadier, cleaner performance and just, graphics and whatnot. But you can even also get that on the Xbox One X, although the frame rate is definitely not as good, but the advantage that you do get with the Xbox One X is HDR and true native 4K resolution. So even if you have a Xbox One X from this generation that we have, then you're still pretty much set. But this is the OG launch model Xbox One, and we have not turned this thing on or tried it out in like the last 3 to almost 4 years. So we're going to plug this bad boy in where our Xbox One X is, and we're going to see if this bad boy actually still works, surprisingly, today. If it does. Now, we are going to have to update this console, so we have to get it to update because because of the time we have not played on this thing, there is like tons of updates. And we will try out a game and see how it performs like RDR2. So, let's get this bad boy unboxed. As a matter of fact, we'll just put it right here on the chair so the console's not like as low or anything like that. So there she is. Now it is a little bit dusty and such, but that's because like of the time we played it, and then because it's been like stored inside of a box from other consoles and such. But it's actually surprisingly not as dusty as I would recall, because yeah, if you look at the fans like right here, it does look dusty, but it doesn't look as dusty as what you would expect, though, from a system that has not been touched for, like, quite a few years. So, it's surprisingly not as dusty as I thought. But we did play a decent bit on it. So, yeah. And just the condition of this bad boy, it still looks pretty darn good. Minus just being a tiny bit dusty. But, yeah. Like, it just looks still like in really, really good, decent condition. So, honestly, I will admit, when it comes to Xbox One and the OG PlayStation 4, this system might be slightly less powerful than a base PS4, but there was an advantage that the OG Xbox One had over the base PS4, and that was it was definitely a bit more quieter, and I think it had a much better cooling solution than the PS4 did, but it still was not perfect. But as far as I'm aware, I think this console did have a slightly better cooling solution inside of it than what the PlayStation 4 did, and that was one of the big reasons why these bad boys stayed a lot quiet. But yeah, we're going to plug it in, and we're going to actually see if it at least still turns on. Now, with OG Xbox Ones, so, well, till the power cord just freaking came off the thing. But when it comes to the OG Xbox Ones and just the 360 lineup, I know that this might suck, but you always had to have a power brick. So Microsoft stopped doing this after the base Xbox One. So this was the last Xbox console to require a power brick. But it definitely still is not as big of a deal to me anyway, because I mean, honestly, it's just really not. But that could be another thing too, that this might not work, is the power brick may not work, because I know some stuff can just randomly die over time, especially if you don't use it. But I definitely don't think that's going to be the case. I do think it's going to work, especially because we have not used it in quite so long. So, yeah. Alright. As I gotta scoot the freaking chair over a little bit. So right down here is where our Xbox One X is. We're going to replace it, unplug the Xbox One X, plug this in, and then we're going to give it a shot. And I know, as a matter of fact, I need to turn off our PlayStation 4 real quick. So, there's that. Okay, now we unplug the Xbox One X. Oh, wow. It was actually surprisingly either updating or downloading some game updates or something, because it was definitely, even though it was turned off, it's definitely warm. But this is the Xbox One X, so it's definitely a lot more sleeker in design. But I am going to admit that I do think that when it comes to the Xbox One family of consoles, the Xbox One S, the white console, is definitely the best looking Xbox One console in my opinion. And a lot of people would disagree and say this, or say the base Xbox One. But I pretty much thought that the Xbox One S was like the best Xbox One design out of the Xbox One family. It was just simple, it was just sleek, being white, and then having, you know, dots where the fan would spin. I just personally thought it was the best design of the Xbox One. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation 4, I do admit that the base PS4, in my opinion, did look sleeker than the Slim, and especially the Pro. Although the Slim is very impressive as it is. As a matter of fact, I actually got one right here, and this is our very first ever PlayStation 4 Slim. But for the amount of power that you do get with this console in such a very, very tiny small box, I mean, when you think about back at the PlayStation 2 for an example, like the PS2 Slim from the, you know, launch fat PS2, it was pretty impressive. And then the Super Slim and then the Slim, you know, PlayStation 3s were also impressive as well. But the power that the PlayStation 4 was, when you compare it to this tiny of a, you know, console machine for the power that you get, this is actually quite more impressive to me than the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 were. Because, honestly, you just get games that look and perform really decent on the PlayStation 4, and you get like solid 1080p basically experience across the board, whereas on the Xbox One, some games did manage to hit 1080p and some didn't. Some just managed to hit like 900p, and even to an extent they would dip down to below like 720p and whatever. And that's where the PlayStation 4 was, you know, the king when it came to power, is you got basically a solid 1080p experience with the PS4. So that's why this bad boy impresses us still to this day. It's probably the best, slimmest PlayStation console in the PlayStation console library, because like it's it's just nice, like for as tiny of a box as this is, and you're getting really good graphics. It's impressive. So now it is time to plug in our Xbox One, our VCR Xbox One, fellas. Now there's probably, like I mentioned, there's going to be, you know, an update and such. So there's also another thing I did forget to mention. That since we've been getting a lot of TVs that do HDR, the Xbox One original is the only last gen console that does not support HDR. So if you rock with a base Xbox One, you're basically pretty much just sticking with basically SDR at that point. So there we go. Now we got to actually figure out where we're going to plug it back here. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot you have to freaking plug in the two-tong. It's like a certain direction you have to do it. Alright. It's so weird how you have to do this, like, because of it being like a VCR model. But we'll get it. We are going to get it. Alright, we're almost got her set up here. Actually, you know what? Instead of me trying to plug it back there, I could just do it right around the block here, which is going to be a lot simple. I don't know why I said a lot simpler. Well, if I can, hold on a second. Actually, maybe we will. Okay, we actually got her plugged in. And alright. So far, our power brick is showing light. I forgot. Because it's been so long since I played on a base Xbox One, I forgot that there is a light on the power brick. But we plugged her in, and we so far have gotten light on the power brick. So far, looking good there. Now we plug in HDMI. And this is where we get the moment of truth. Alright, there she is. Now I gotta figure out where the other stuff is. Okay. Well, so far it's looking great for the Xbox One. Alright. Now we go over here. Hold on a second. Alright. Now we got our controller that we're going to be using. I know this might sound weird, but this is the controller that we use on Xbox, and sadly they don't make these models no more. But here we go. This is the moment. We gotta see if it works. Well, it's officially time to turn our very first Xbox One on. Here we go. Uh-oh. It turned on. Alright, so far good. Lights on. Let's see if we get something on the screen. And boom. We got Xbox One on the screen. Now this TV we have is a LG C1 OLED, so that's why that you seen at the bottom it named the console of like what it is and such because it's a base Xbox, or I don't know why I said base Xbox One. It's a smart TV, so that's why it named that input Xbox One. That's actually what I was basically trying to say. But there it is, so far looking great. Now it still may not fully turn on. Well, I guess we lied to ourselves there. Okay. Well, we actually don't have to worry about turning it on. And wow. Look at this. This is an old dashboard. This is a dashboard that Microsoft released like back in 2018, 2017, maybe 2019 or whatever. But wow. Yeah, just like look at this. Like this is just impressive. Like wow. This is the old dashboard from like 2019, 2018 or whatever. Like you can just tell because you can see how thick that the square is, whereas on the current newer, redesigned dashboard that we got back in late 2020, it was basically a lot more, thinner and such and whatever. I want to really try a game, but I really just don't think it's going to let us because we're going to have to completely update the console. But like, holy crap, this is definitely the old dashboard and everything. Like, wow. So we're going to go to the settings real quick and show you what we're on. Like, yeah, I guess it's crazy. So yeah, this console's only able to play 1080p and such. But, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. I did forget that you can also get, a variable refresh rate on the OG Xbox One. For some reason, I literally thought that was only a feature that you can get on Xbox One S or newer. But I forgot Microsoft did release the option on the OG VCR models that you can get variable refresh rate, which was still a nice, thing, a nice advantage that the PlayStation 4 didn't have. And not only that, but another advantage that the OG Xbox One had, or did have over the base PS4, is that you can actually get 5G internet speeds instead of 2.4G, whereas the PlayStation 4 was just literally locked at 2.4G when it comes to the OG model. Now, they did improve that when it comes to the Slim model that we showed you a little bit ago, but if you wanted to get the best download speeds, I mean, the OG Xbox One was like still had some of the newer tech built into it, and it was still able to do 5G. But, yeah, that's actually what it looks to be. And wow, there's our freaking old internet that we used to have a few years ago when this thing was last connected. Like, man, this thing is just bringing back memories. Just seeing some old internet, an old dashboard, and just seeing the ability that it plays. So, yeah. So we're going to go on ahead and end this part, and we're just going to add the other part once we get the console update. So, we're going to get this console fully up to date to the current newer, current version of the update software for the Xbox One, and we will be right back here in just a second. Alright, so now the console has finally finished updating. It almost did not update. Like, it just started doing partial, and then it said an error, and then I hit try again, and then it finished backed up, and then it did it a couple more times. But luckily enough, we finally got the Xbox One fully up to date, and we actually got a game that we're going to try out just for a couple of minutes on this video to see how it actually looks and just if if the Xbox One is going to like mess up or, something like that or anything. So, the first game that we're going to try out is actually going to be Far Cry 5. Now, like I mentioned, the Xbox One did not support like HDR at all. So, like, if you are still somebody that has a still good working condition OG Xbox One, I mean HDR really like, yeah, like it's good in its own way, but then like you do lose some saturation of colors with HDR because we have a monitor for our gaming PC and it just like the HDR just looks not super great compared to some of our nice high quality TVs. So when we play on our PC, we literally just play SDR on our PC. Well, until I dropped the remote, until it slipped out of my hand. Alright. We're going to turn up the sound. That way you can hear it. But, yeah, like, you could already get a glimpse on how good that this picture looks off of our C1 LG OLED TV. And this is not even playing in 4K, like, because the base Xbox One only was able to master at 1080p resolution. Now, Far Cry 5 is definitely a game I do think that did ran at like 900p, but Far Cry 5 was one of the best looking games on the OG Xbox One. Like, it just looks like honestly still looks surprisingly good. Well, yeah, we gotta download our save and everything, so. But, like, yeah, like, it looks still surprisingly good. And this is not even playing in 4K or even HDR at the moment, so, yeah. For 1080p of a 900p game or whatever like that, and I could be wrong, Far Cry 5 might actually run at 1080p, but I don't think it does. But here, we're going to continue. Now, the Xbox One is a slightly bit slower of like loading than like a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One X, for an example, but it's not like a huge difference at all. They almost load practically the same, honestly. But there are some games that do load faster on a Xbox One X and a PlayStation 4 Pro than what they did on the base PS4 and Xbox One because of the hard drives those consoles like have or something in them. But yeah, we're getting ready to be in just here in a second. And there we are. Okay, yeah, like, I am telling you, like, this still looks impressive. Like, yes, it's definitely, I can tell it's somewhat more blurry, but that's because we are playing at a lower resolution. But it's actually not that bad, to be honest with you. Like, oh my goodness. Like, look how clean that car still looks, like, detail-wise. And even the grass, like, that's still very detailed and such, especially being lower resolution. Now, some of that stuff does look a little bit blurry to an extent, but, heck, even the water looks very sharp and such. I think, like, Ubisoft was, like, one of the, decent, like, optimized developers out there. Because, yeah, just look how detailed this looks. And this is on a OG Xbox One, the less powerful last-gen console. Now, it is going to look a tad bit better on the PlayStation 4, but it's not going to look that much noticeable unless you're on a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X. Then that's when you're going to see a huge difference. But yeah, yeah, it's not as crisp, but it's relatively still pretty darn good. Oh yeah, I actually do remember this area. I actually remember playing this on our Xbox One X, or heck, it might even be what we're playing on. It might be on our base Xbox One. But yeah, I definitely remember running in this area before a couple years ago when this game first came out. I was in the middle of the story and these freaking electric lines that you're seeing right up here. So, yeah, I actually do remember this area. I remember running down this way. But yeah, this is essentially like just an open land. So yeah, you have wildlife and everything like that. But yeah, Far Cry 5 still somehow magically looks actually kind of good on the base Xbox One. Like, I know I've said it like freaking numerous times, but yeah, it literally does. Like, it looks detailed. It still looks somewhat sharp, but not quite as crisp as like 4K looking. But for a 900p game, it still impresses me. So yeah, just like look at the detail of that. Even you can even look how detailed the trees are in the literally distance a little bit. Yeah, it's somewhat blurry in the distance though. But then some areas like the freaking ground right there of the hill, like you can look at that and it just looks detail out there, and that's a good almost a mile away. All right, so far nothing looks like it has messed up our Xbox console. Now we got one more game that we're going to try out for you, and that is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. Actually, no, let's actually do the first Red Dead Redemption and let's see how it looks. Or, well, maybe actually, it was better to go to the first Red Dead Redemption, because apparently, Red Dead Redemption 2 need an update or something. Well, this will most likely load us in a bit quicker and such. But like, yeah, like even look at the Xbox 360 like dashboard and everything. Alright, yeah, we won't worry about that. We'll just switch over to Red Dead 2 if it's going to have to do all that stuff. Or well, maybe not. Huh. I guess we are going to have to try out Red Dead Redemption 1, because apparently I think the Red Dead 2 needs updated and it doesn't have enough storage, so it's trying to ask me where I want to put it. Well, we're going to have to let that stuff go through real quick. But, yeah. You seen Far Cry 5 and how incredible that it looked on the OG Xbox One. And it was actually still pretty impressive for what it accomplished. And, oh wow. Red Dead Redemption didn't have to take that long to do anything. Now, this is a game that looked already good as it did, like, even on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 consoles, like, no matter what the odds are, like, the PlayStation 3 is the lowest resolution to play this game on. Well, it's not logging us in yet, so we may not be able to try this game out. Alright, yeah, that game's not going to work, so I had a freaking sneeze there. You know something? Let's actually try Borderlands. Now, this game I know for a fact ain't going to need nothing because it's really darn small. But yeah, let's actually try Borderlands real fast, and then if this game plays through a couple minutes, then that basically means that our OG very first ever Xbox One that we bought on June 28th, 2015 is still really impressive and still works to this day, even though it has not been touched for about 4 years or so. Like, it's been that long. And holy crap. Well, this game loaded pretty darn quick. Let's start our game here. And we're on our save. and that's another game. I mumbled there for a second, but that's also another game that honestly like looks very impressive also. Like this is not even playing in fully 1080p, I don't think. I don't think Borderlands 1 is. I could be wrong. It might actually be playing fully 1080p. But I know it does play at good 60 frames a second on here. And same thing with Borderlands 2 and all that. Like, yeah. It's a smooth 60 frames. Like, look at that. You don't even get very many games like that to play at 60 frames a second on especially the OG PS4 and Xbox One. But yeah. And like it's still very good, crisp in detail. Actually, you know what? I might have to look that up, but honestly, I think it does play at native 1080p on the Xbox One. It might just be Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel that don't, and I know for a fact Borderlands 3 doesn't, but this game actually does look like it plays in 1080p. So yeah, it's really responsive. Oh, wow. That must have been a powerful gun I had. Die, you creature, die! Whoa! You die! Ah. He ain't running away from me, man. Yeah, like, so far this is even still looking great. And, like, wow. This game's also playing pretty consistent at 60 frames a second on the less powerful Xbox One from last gen. Like, wow. This is definitely playing a good, consistent 60 frames. Like, holy crap. That's usually rare for especially a last gen console. But then again, Borderlands usually ain't like a so demanding type of game. But honestly, it definitely holds up as like still like a really nice, beautiful looking graphical game ever. And that's one thing I love about the Borderlands series is just the fact that like it just looks like a very like cartoony, but like like it's a mix of like cartoon and real life sort of like graphics. But honestly, that's what I really like and love about the Borderlands a lot is just because of the visuals and the art concept of it. It just looks amazing for what it does. But so far, I mean, this game's also not hurting our Xbox One, and heck, I think we've been playing this slightly bit longer. So yeah, as from what it looks like, it does look like that our OG very first ever Xbox One, it looks like it still works like new to this day, getting ready to turn 9 years old this June 28th, 2024. So that's going to do it for us revisiting our very first number one Xbox One that we bought 9 years almost ago. So if you like that video, hit that thumbs up. I mean, if you like this video, I should say, hit the thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you are new to this channel, and we will keep you posted with more gaming / tech content in the future. And also, let us know in the comment section down below if you still have a launch model Xbox One of some sort, and how long have you had it, and if your model still works, or if your model broke on you after a certain amount of time. So yeah, just let us know in the comment section down below if you're somebody that still has a day one or just a launch model Xbox One, and how is it still holding up, if it still works or doesn't. So just let us know in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next video. Peace out.